It's another exciting night, great evening of horological enjoyment tonight in Mayfair. We have the pleasure to host not only a watchmaker, as we normally would do, of course, at the limited edition, but a friend and somebody that definitely doesn't take watchmaking as seriously as the industry has taught us to do. We have our friend Xavier from Czapek is here today to meet collectors in London.
Yes.
Nice to see you, Xavier.
Thank you. Nice to see you always, Pietro.
Thank you so much.
You cannot hide what you think. I'm the same as you.
Absolutely. We share the Italian blood as well, you know,
Exactly.
Apart from many other things and passions that we have in common. So yeah, Czapek has been fundamental for the limited edition. We were established in 2015 when Czapek actually was being presented to the world with the best accolades received straight away. So Xavier, you've been not only just, how can I say, a partner to what we have been trying to create with the limited edition, but you've been an inspiration because you've shown how you can create something incredible from zero, from absolutely zero, just based on the passion, the inspiration you found along the way. Czapek has gone a very, very long way compared to 9 years ago. Where are you at the moment? How happy are you of the development of Czapek? And how is Xavier doing in general?
Okay, so happiness, I always keep a level of happiness that is relatively high, and I never get to the wow, incredible happiness, because there is always this effect of being behind the wave. I prefer to be rather happy, generally speaking, but always doubting that things will go always well, you know. I'm always on that inquietude, we would say, unquietness, no? Concerned, sensitive to everything. And that's also maybe part of what helped me during these years, to be capable to catch what was going in the market, what the watch lovers were looking for that they couldn't find actually at the beginning. And when I was at Salon QP, I remember some nice conversations with some guys who were actually explaining, you know, how they were building their collection and what was missing in the collection, and the missing point was the Antarctique.
Yeah.
So it really came from these discussions, and also the sensation that the crisis, you know, was coming or was hitting us, or that we will never finish to resolve our supply chain issues. Or so it's funny, we see life is a continuous succession of crises.
Yeah.
And we better be philosophical about them. We are born in a crisis, we are dead in a crisis, and that's it, you know, it's a continuous series. We just have to be philosophical, happy, and look at the future, no?
I think continuous learning is probably the word as well for as far as the limited edition is concerned, but I've seen it a lot in you guys. When we met, you had great ambition, great passion, but you were leading a project that was producing 100 pieces, more or less, a year, with a few collectors around the world that will know about Czapek. So you clearly had a vision, but how much of that vision has changed across the years? How much the learning has influenced your business model across the years?
So, funnily, we had 1,000 watches in the mind at the beginning, and we end up at 1,000 watches.
Yeah.
And we didn't follow at all the routes that we had planned.
So your production today is 1,000 watches, yeah?
And we're very happy with it, and we are going to stick to that number.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful number, and this is logic with what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because it was clear that we were coming after the first wave of the independence.
Yeah.
You know, and that they were in a price range that was in the 50 and above.
Yeah, the MBNFs, the Urwerks, the Betunes.
Exactly, but I'm not authorized with the Swiss law to say any of the name of my
Don't worry,
confrère.
I've done it, and I'm authorized
I
by
can
my
say
law.
Felix, Max, and that's
fine,
it. You know?
I'm authorized, so don't worry.
So, and they were inspirational for us. But because they were so inspirational, we never wanted to go next to them and compete to them. We thought, okay, there's still plenty of space. Let's show everyone we can bring something to the market, make something different. And our idea was really to come with an expression of horology that was more, I hate the word accessible, but it's really the correct word.
Attainable.
Yeah, attainable for more people.
Yeah.
And we felt there was some boredom coming from the classic luxury.
Yeah, and there was a certain pressure put on collectors that
Yeah.
couldn't buy what they wanted
Exactly.
to. And there was a huge demand on items that they were overvaluated in the secondary market. And this is where really you managed to catch the interest, I guess, no?
And I was unemployed before starting Czapek.
Yeah.
And people ask me, how did you have that idea? Well, it's simple. I had to feed the family of 5 kids, so you look for any good idea you could find, no? And I had a lot of
Same here.
I had a lot of entrepreneurial ideas. So my friends were telling me, you should go for it because you got 7 projects I had at one point.
Yeah.
So I started one we stopped, and then Czapek was the second one, and that one picked up. So the idea was, in the meantime, to do some consulting work. And I started teaching, and I was teaching luxury marketing, and I realized how much we were following a methodology that was forgetting the customer of luxury as a person.
Yeah.
Was thinking about it as an element of the marketing mix. And I was suddenly thinking, this is wrong.
Yeah.
This is the opposite. Why do we love that? Because of craftsmanship, because of the hand, The hand was the key point. And the idea is we are somehow sons of gods, and we want to do the same. We want to create with our hands.
Yeah. Because we are human.
Exactly.
And we live in an era where being human is not necessarily the highlight,
No.
the best kind of skill. And I think watchmaking is a metaphor for the
Exactly.
for the,
And so somehow luxury was a way to make us more human.
Yeah.
I know it can sound provocative because it's also linked to money.
I don't know
But
if
it's not the
luxury,
money.
but watchmaking, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Luxury
Yeah.
depends on the category, no?
Yeah. But it's the craftsmanship that is lies behind that for me is important.
Yeah.
And to find products that have a soul, and it's not about the quantity, it's about what you have put inside.
Yeah.
And this is really what was the direction. And when we started working on the watches, we thought, okay, we need to keep that number to be able to talk with one person, with another, to go deep, to dive into the dreams of that person and make it happen.
Yeah, and because there are numbers that don't go well with the idea of craftsmanship.
No.
So there is a threshold in that
Exactly.
sense. Absolutely.
Exactly.
What was the scariest moment? Was it starting, and I've been there, developing, or when finally recognition, reputation are there, and you have to live up to the perception that you've given to people that appreciate you out there?
That's the scary one.
That's the scary one.
That's the scary one.
Yeah.
At the very beginning, you are unconscious.
Yeah, you can make
That's
mistakes.
why every time I meet another entrepreneur and I ask him, about the beginnings, and we all say the same thing. If we had known, we probably would have never started, because we had never thought about the problems we would run into, the sleepless night, and the solution that comes out of the blue, because you scratch your head so much. And because you lack so many resources.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm always saying, my king is Leonidas the Spartan. Because you have to lack of everything to keep only the best idea.
Yeah.
And in your mind, what you do is you go through all the ideas to save the company. And suddenly the light comes in and you say, okay, this one is the best. And you put all your efforts on that one. If you have too much money, you start to be diverted, to be trying too many things. No. Focus on one thing, and you end up being super focused, which sometimes is a bit difficult in the human relations, because you're a too focused person who doesn't see what's happening around you, but you have to relearn once you get to the third stage. The growth was tough. The growth, basically I passed away during the growth, so that was not an easy thing.
Of course.
And I hopefully got that second chance, that second life to continue. So the growth was a surprise of how demanding it is. You think that the startup phase is so difficult that there will be nothing more difficult. So growth is actually more difficult.
Yeah.
And the moment where you see you reach a summit, there is no the summit, because it's a journey. So you go and you see you have to sort of go down and up again, you know. And it's like that. At that moment, you're trembling and like, oh, what's going on, you know?
And in a growth phase, you have the weight is a good weight, but it's a weight of the people that are putting their trust in you.
Yes.
Which weight's quite heavy, you know, in certain times. Yeah, totally understand. Was there a moment of? So one mistake I have made in the 10 years of the limited edition, we haven't made a good enough photographic, for as much as we are on the social media, but I don't have a record of the milestones, you know, that one day when I'm old, I can go back and put them all together and revisit, you know, the journey. What are these milestone moments for you and for Czapek so far in these first 9 years?
So I realized that I was going to say we make all the time small mistakes that we correct. And I just, by listening to you, I realized we did one mistake that will be very difficult to correct, which is to take a very good picture of every bespoke piece we were doing.
I see.
That's a mistake.
I see.
That I'm correct.
Yeah.
The rest, I always consider that I am the captain of a boat, and there is currents and waves, and the wind is changing, and the boat is never going right.
Yeah.
And I'm always correcting the direction. So I would say it's okay to make mistakes and to correct the direction in a way that you, from far, the boat seems to be always going right, you know?
Yeah.
And from close, you know that you're always like on the edge, correcting a little bit.
You've put a lot of yourself and how you come across as a human being. Czapek comes across as an empathic company. This is clear. You know, we've had an experience of the last 10 years. We've served, thanks to you, so many collectors. And you, like you say, if there are mistakes or things that can be improved, you are listening, you are moving empathically, if you like, which was a little bit the mistake that in the industry was apparent when you started to grow. The industry itself was not empathic at all towards collectors. So you have filled that gap. So are you able to transfer that in every single, how can I say, sector of the company? In the marketing, in the way you come across, internally, in the way you organize your supply chain, in the relationship with the press. Is that something that comes naturally from you, or something that you actually impose? You want Czapek to be perceived as that, as the empathic company it is?
It's more simple than that. We had 15,000 in the account at the beginning. So we had to look for funding. And we didn't want it to be the toy of a billionaire. We didn't want it, with all respect for billionaires.
Yeah.
They made their money in a very bright way, but we know that the difference of size is counterproductive. It's too dangerous.
Yeah.
And we knew that VCs would just simply turn us down. So we were left with only one option, which is to find other guys like us, as crazy as us, with a little bit more money than us, that would jump in the pool. And that's how we became crowdfunded. And by equity crowdfunding, which is pretty deep and is sort of dangerous, because if you fool the people, you end up in jail. So it's not the same as making a watch that doesn't work, you know? There would be more people in jail if you made a watch that doesn't work. So we had to become transparent to convince everyone that was seated at the table that it was the right moment to join the company. And after that, because we were transparent, these people that sat there with us became collaborative. And they gave us ideas, and you gave us a lot of advices. Do you remember?
Yeah.
When we were in Dubai together,
we were
and you said, "Oh, I see that."
Yeah, we were in the same journey.
But this dimension of giving advice to a friend, that was really the way the company was built. And I was a guy that loved to share.
Yeah.
I was a guy that always joked about the CEOs who were taking themselves very seriously, thinking that they were above anyone. Yeah. No, we are normal people full of weaknesses. And so this became a sort of much beyond the motto. It became the way the company grew. And that's how our tagline, "We collect rare people," came from there.
Yeah.
Because it came from the fact that at the table there was also supply chain partners, business partners, retailers, customers, collectors, press, everyone was there. It was like a whirlpool of ideas and relationship. And this is really what ended up making Czapek so unique. So I think today everybody understands that. Now the danger is that when in 5 to 10 years, I might look for my successor, he or she will have to continue that direction, because inside the company it's really like this.
Yeah.
And we can get, by surprise, we should get the watchmaker, Luca, and ask him the same question, Maybe we should do that. Let's do that.
Good to see you, Luca. Good to see you. So, this Czapek comes across as a very empathic, very friendly, and very spontaneous company. Externally to us, the partners, or to the clients, or to the press, indeed, is it the same internally? Things happen spontaneously, and there's what kind of atmosphere there is?
The team is like a family. It's not a watchmaker industry production. It's a big family. Every day is different.
Yeah.
For another model, another movement.
Yeah, and you learn from each other, and you exchange a lot as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
every watchmaker comes to another company.
Yeah.
It's just every day it's a learning for the watchmaking.
So you feel it's very experimental. So every day, every week, every month, you bring in new innovation, new way of doing things, every day. Yeah. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
And so what do you love most in Czapek?
My colleague.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Like a big group of friends. Yeah.
I like my team.
Yeah, that's amazing. So
how does it work to make a watch in Czapek?
I assemble 5 movements per day and 20 per week. After that, Romain give a kit for clients. 1 kit, 1 clients.
Yeah.
And Romain prepare in the kits the case, the dial, and the calendar. And I take my movements, 1 movements, 1 clients, and I take 1 movements in the kit, and I assemble the calendar, the hands, and the.
So this is where really the one client is starting to be served by means of creating the kit that then goes and becomes the final watch that the client would wear. Yeah, it's fascinating. And Romain, for those that don't know, is the head of production at.
He's the planner.
The planner.
He's a customer service guy.
Okay, customer service.
And it's very funny because it's a very flat company.
Yeah, but your customer focus as opposed to production focus.
So, Romain, the head of the manufacturer, which is Nicolas, is more like an older brother.
Yeah.
He's here to help you resolve your problems.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's the way he behaves. And the flow is made by the sales team and the customer service team. And Romain is not the head of customer service. He's one of the most active customer service person.
Yeah.
And so he got by his activity the function of becoming, on top of being customer service, the planner.
Fantastic.
And so he's doing the planning according to the needs of the customer.
Yeah.
So if suddenly you have a customer and he says, I'm getting married in 1 month.
Yeah.
Can you get me that watch? He's capable to say, okay, I'm going to squeeze that watch in. He's going to see one of the watchmakers saying, okay, who can do that very fast? And in agreement with the head of the team for manufacturing, which is Lorraine, one of the watchmaker, they will organize that this watch is going very fast because it's a wedding, it's so important, we cannot miss that.
He will find a way.
He will find a way, always.
One of my favorite.
And what's interesting, in the process is that Luca keeps in his own safe all his movement that he has prepared one by one, by a group of 5, but it's always one movement by one movement.
Yeah.
And thanks to that, he's capable to actually take and associate one movement with the kit for casing. And this is what makes that in the end, he has made the watch from A to Z for a customer.
For one client.
And it's at the same time, it's organized in a certain way to be very efficient.
Yeah.
So there is no time lost because the time for testing and the times for running are very heavy in the production. So you need to organize yourself so that it's done in a hidden time and you don't lose time there.
Perfect.
And that's what makes these guys being so happy at work, because they can do their job without having to wait for something, because you have queuing at the testing machines, for example, if you don't organize yourself well, or you have to multiply testing, So this way to be organized, which is very contradictory with the normal industrial process, is what liberates them from the hurdle of many aspects of pure production.
Yeah, because they become responsible and accountable for a single customer rather than for a lot or a batch of production.
Exactly.
Thank you, Luca. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. 10 years of an exciting journey. There have been milestones, but also, and most importantly, there have been watches that have been the reflection of your vision, what you wanted to achieve, and have actually physically created the brand Czapek. Are there collections that you could pinpoint as being those milestones or symbolic of what Czapek is or perceived to be?
They are all like my children, so I cannot not speak about all of them. So I speak about all of them at the beginning, and then we'll focus on a few of them. Of course, the Keleberg was a starting point, and the idea of using one specific watch of Czapek that actually we could buy 5 years later was so fantastic. And to base the creativity on that watch and on the style of Czapek expressed in that watch was a very good decision.
Yeah.
It gave birth to the Keleberg, which was code name from past to present, and it gave birth to the Place Vendôme, which code name was present to future. And there was, everything was set somehow. Like we can go in every direction from there. Of course, there was this signature with the two sub-dials at 4:30 and 7:30.
Of course.
And we kept that signature and play with that signature. But it's always, you look at things from close, and then if you step back, you realize there is more. And for example, in Czapek, there is the idea of symmetry. And there is this idea of vertical symmetry, like, the Homo vertebrus, like this, who is represented in the period of Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah.
And we keep that as a design code, as a sort of inner rule that sometimes we infringe, because when you have too many rules, I cannot be happy.
Yes.
And so I need to break the rules, like in the promenade, where we did a dissymmetry to show that we are capable to do it. But there is one watch that I would say is a modern expression of these two collections, which is the initial Keleberg and the Place Vendôme tourbillon, which is the Complicity. It's a Place Vendôme edition. So Place Vendôme was really the idea of the maximum that we could think of, the haute horlogerie in the highest level of finishing. As, for instance, if you look at the finish of this watch in the front, but also in the back.
Of course.
The back is just the anglage, just chamfering the angles is 1 week of work.
Yeah.
There are 18 inward angles, internal angles that are polished one by one. So this is what we were looking at when we created that watch. But also, it was born out of one of our customer, watch lover, who became shareholder, who said, why don't you replace these two sub-dials by two escapements? It would be super cool.
I was actually an idea from one of your partners.
From Kaz, if you want to know.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Amazing. Yeah.
So he got this idea, and then we thought, okay, technically, how can we do that? And we thought, okay, we need to have a differential, like in a car, a nice differential gear. And we thought, okay, the coolest thing, if we want to create that symmetry that we were talking about, is to have the differential gear at 12 o'clock and the two escapements at 4:30 and 7:30. And then we met people with whom we were working, and they were not capable to recreate that. It was not so complex, but because sometimes a simple idea, we were talking about creativity and design this afternoon with one of your friends, Roman.
Yeah, of course.
And sometimes, very creative people, they also get stuck, and they were stuck, they couldn't find a solution. And the solution was found was Bernard, who actually thought about creating a main plate and a secondary plate.
Of course, Bernard Leder, for those that are.
And so, if you want, from the barrels who are here, we would be the two barrels. Okay, they connect to the first level, to the minute, who connects to the differential, and goes back to the two escapement. You know, so it's a very interesting way of building the watch, an interesting architecture, which in the end is not so complex. But sometimes you don't see it, even if it's in front of your eyes.
Yeah, but it is complex in many ways, because obviously it took Bernard decades of studies on the on balance, on the escapement, sorry, and obviously his work on the double remontoire, for example, in his CIC,
which is incredible.
So yeah.
And the big lesson learned is whenever I tried to explain all the technicity of that watch, I would never sell it. It's only by showing the watch simply like this, you know, and getting the people wearing it, it was just like, no, just don't explain me. It's so beautiful, because that's our work. That's what we focus on.
So here,
to make high-end horology the nicest possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. Here you have obviously the complexity of the mechanics matched with the design and the beauty of the finishing that you've very well explained. You've also managed to leave an imprint on design. In general, you managed, apart from the launch of the Antarctique, that was a great success. When you launched the gold version of the Antarctique, you basically revisited a little bit that crazy and amazing wave of gold integrated pieces from the end of the 60s, beginning of the 70s, that seemed to be completely forgotten. With this piece, single-handedly, you have given it a revamp completely, I find.
And I have to say that I want to thank one of your customers who is making beautiful pictures on Instagram, a guy to watch. And every time I follow him, and every time he's publishing, I'm like, oh, it's so cool. Such a nice picture and such a nice watch. It's, the Antarctique was quite a unique thing. And in the history of Czapek, it will be one of the biggest milestones for sure. Because it became a reference of inspiration for so many of our confrères around. We know it, even if it's not official.
Of course. You're quite involved in the design part as well, and the Antarctique is one project where you've been really involved in that sense.
Yes. It's the love child of meeting so many collectors and working very hard with Adrian on expressing an integrated bracelet watch in a different way as the Genta culture would have been, you know, running away from anything that had been done before. And I am not a designer, and that's why the watches are nice.
Yes, because you have an honest and spontaneous approach rather
exactly.
than manufacturing.
Now, none of the watches that we make have the paternity of only our designer. It's a rule in Czapek now. Co-paternity is always has to be assumed because I'm behind every detail. And I'm modifying over and over and over, trying to treat that work. But I respect the work of the designer. I'm even more crazy sometimes as a designer in the way the watch is being made. And we listen a lot to people, sometimes not to follow them. Because our advisory board was saying, don't do an integrated bracelet.
I'm actually wearing the other version, of course, with the
rubber. It's so cool, huh, with the rubber. Nobody would tell that such a watch is actually with the rubber completely different. So really what was interesting there was to explore differently and find a way that was Czapek. And it's funny because no one ever told us, but this watch, is it a Czapek watch or why is it Czapek? And every collector recognizes the Czapek style by recognizing the work we do on aesthetics when we create something.
You created an icon for yourself that was immediately struck.
Exactly. Now, if we look at the work we did, is also to revisit collections of the beginnings. And this is the Faubourg de Cracovie, our integrated chrono. And we had a discussion at the beginning with watch collector that was saying, you know, your watch is so cool. This is a racing watch. It's not a diving one. It's not a flying, a pilot one. It's a racing watch. You should have a tachymeter. And so we decided to do a new execution. Here it's very complex because it's 3 dials in one. So the way the dial is made and the assembly is very, very complex. We start from the main plate, at the beginning, and we do the engraving with the guilloche, which is a new guilloche that we have registered, of course. And then we assemble all the other parts of the dial to make it stand out like this.
Beautiful. Two versions, of course, with your seminal, I want to call it, secret alloy,
yes,
of course, dial.
Which was born by surprise, was just born out of visiting Metalem, actually the subsidiary of Metalem called RVK, which is just in between Neuchâtel, where I live, and La Chaux-de-Fonds, where we work and have our manufacture. And Jan Tripet called me saying, "Hey Xavier, I got some dials to show you." And I was like, "Oh, I'm driving, I'm on my way. Let me go out of the highway and visit you."
Check it out,
And I checked the first dial and I was like, "This is so nice. Let's have a version that has no color, that is just standing out with the rough metal of the cup."
Seamlessly, obviously merging with the case.
Exactly.
The case itself.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And for once, there is a watch where the dial has its natural color.
So the new collection obviously coming in 2 different executions.
Yes.
A kind of panda blue one and a secret alloy.
Exactly.
Limited edition, yes?
This one, the secret alloy, is a limited edition, but the blue panda this time we don't limit it because it was a frustration to make the last one, of the first edition. So we said, okay, this one we're going to keep for many years so that people can enjoy having the pleasure of having it.
Of course.
It's of course, in Czapek everything is limited in production, naturally. So if we make 100 Faubourg de Cracovie in a year, it's going to be a maximum. I think my plan is to make 70 next year. So you see, it's not a lot. But, we're not after that. We're after taking the time to make properly the watches the way we love.
So thank you so much. Enjoy the event tonight.
Yes.
And we'll see the, of course, feedback we're going to get from our collectors. It will be a night to remember, I have a feeling.
I have seen the same feeling.
Congratulations and good luck for all the beautiful things to come.
Thanks to you, to your support, to your advices.
Thank you so much.
And it's something, it takes a village to get there.
Absolutely.
And that's how it works, by bringing together a lot of people around the table.
And
that's how Czapek was born.
Absolutely.
So please join.
Thank you very much.